Hello, everybody. We'll just give you a minute to jump into this webinar, and then I'll start shortly. And I can see that people are coming in. That's great. So we're almost at the 1 minute mark. Just wait a little longer. All right. I think we should just start. All right. So welcome to today's webinar. And this webinar is called How the Central Denmark Region Propelled Their User Happiness. And I'm Michelle, and I'm the marketing manager in BusinessNow. And I'll just go through some quick practical stuff before I introduce the two gentlemen I have with me today. This webinar will be recorded, and you will receive this recording and some other great links in your inbox on Monday. And there's a Q&A function in the bottom of your screen. If you just take your mouse down to the bottom, then you can use that to ask questions anytime during this webinar, and Søren will take good care of those questions. And I'll do a poll in the end to ask what you thought about this webinar, and we can have any extra questions that we didn't get to in the webinar. So with me today, I have our special guest, Jesper Lund Hansen from Region Midt, or the Central Denmark region, as it's probably properly translated. He's the head of the service desk, and he has some very good stories to tell you today, and we're very excited to have him with us. Can you say hi, Jesper?
Hello.
Great. And of course, I feel like I should say, of course, we have Søren Riis-Vestergaard from BusinessNow. Hello, Søren. Yeah, and I don't think Søren needs much introduction, but he's a digital business advisor in BusinessNow, and yeah, sort of like a webinar extraordinaire from BusinessNow after a lot of great webinars. Yes, and I already introduced myself. So let's look at the agenda, I think. Yes. So today we're going to talk about why HappySignals, and also you will learn much more about HappySignals in general. We will talk about how it works, and then Jesper will talk about how Region Midtjylland used this tool to sort of talk about customer satisfaction and just in general their employees. So we're happy, just happiness in general, I guess. Then he will do a very interesting demo. And yeah, we're very excited to see that as well. So without further ado, I will give the word to Søren.
Thank you very much, Michelle. So I'll start by explaining a little about why HappySignals might be interesting for you. HappySignals is a way to get high response rate when you ask your users whether they are happy with the service you deliver, whether their user experience is great. And this is very reliable, and you can use that for a number of things now that you have something you can really depend on being realistic with regards to telling the story of how your users feel and think about your service. So one of the things that you can get is that you can get a more effective support agent practice. You know, your supporters, because they get live feedback from the users on a case-by-case basis where they can see, oh, the case that I just closed, the incident record or the request record or what it might be, this is what the user actually thought and felt about it, and we can react to that immediately. And we can learn over time, because as a supporter, you get this feedback constantly, and you can get a really good experience, and Jesper will show that later. So you get a more efficient support practice because you can use the time for delivering support where the time is creating most value. So users who don't really need much, you can sort of help them in a way where you don't use too much time. And on the other hand, you can use your precious time where it really matters, the users really need your assistance. So you can also see and detect changes in user perception so that you can adapt over time, and you can create root cause analysis to say, why this user experience, user perception, why did it change for better or for worse? And you can learn continuously based on dependable data. So effective decisions based on credible data and data-driven continual user experience improvement. That is the why, boiled down to one sentence. Yes? Next one. I'm going to explain a little about how HappySignals works, and I'm going to give you a bit of background information because this is quite unique. So the philosophy and the methods behind HappySignals is based on a method of measuring user or customer satisfaction that has proven to be very, very effective for the past 20 years, and it's called Net Promoter Score. What you do is that you give the user a choice, just clicking once to say, how satisfied were you with the service, or whichever one question you wish to ask, that sort of boils down to how did the user experience what you have provided. And then they click on a number from 0 to 10, and the 9 and 10s are the really good ones, and the 0 to 6 are the not good ones, and the one in the middle you don't use for anything. So the formula is simple but very dependable and effective. You take the percentage of promoters, 9 or 10s, you subtract the percentage of detractors, and then you get the Net Promoter Score. For instance, if you have 100 responses and there are 50 promoters and 10 distractors, the Net Promoter Score is 40. Very simple. The range is from plus 100 if you have all promoters, and minus 100 if you have all detractors. And the thing here is, you will always have more promoters than you fear. And that's one of the things we have learned from all our HappySignals customers, is that users are happier than you think they are. So that's really nice. But of course, there are also the ones who are not so happy. So what would be a good Net Promoter Score target for your organization? And what we see in general is that people, our customers, they choose something 60, 65, 70 as a starting point, and then they learn from there. And I'm going to say this is as a warning before you see Jesper's numbers, that Region Mid, they have incredibly high user satisfaction. So they have certainly they probably had that before HappySignals, but they also used HappySignals to even improve on that. So something between 60, 70 is a good starting point, and then you can go from there and learn. Yes. Next one. Okay. So how how much work is there involved in getting HappySignals up and running in your organization? And I'm going to explain a little about the building blocks of ServiceNow, or sorry, of HappySignals in one of the next slides. But just let me assure you that it takes 1 day to technically set up HappySignals and to integrate it into your ServiceNow instance. So that's done in 1 day. And day 2 and 3, which we typically use for prepping your service managers, your supporters, and whoever is going to be participating in seeing the numbers and the data that HappySignals provides, and use that to sort of guide your supporters in creating the best user experience possible. So day 2 and 3 is about the organizational change management. And then typically we take 1 or 2 hours, a couple of weeks later, when you have data available, to go through it and to teach you how to get the most value out of the data that you have. And HappySignals provides very, very strong tools in order to learn from that. So next one.
You've used 7 minutes, Søren, just so you know. You've used 7 minutes, just so you know.
That's great. So the basic logic is that ServiceNow sends a mail to the employees. Once a ticket is resolved, they click a simple score, how satisfied they were. This mail replaces your usual ticket solved. And then the score and category data provided is fed into ServiceNow and is immediately available to the users, to the supporters, and the HappySignals analytics service, which Jesper will demonstrate, also get all this and creates more of a statistical and not a case-by-case story about the user experience. So next one. So the main building blocks is that the employees, they receive a survey, not as a separate mail, but as part of their your ticket is resolved mail. There's a ServiceNow integration. There's an analytics side, which is very, very strong. And then you also have the opportunity to have info screens that can sort of be put up in reception areas or in the service desk area. So these are the main building blocks. And with that, I'm leaving it to you, Jesper, to take over.
Thank you, Søren. Yeah, I guess you are about ready to see the HappySignals now, and I'm looking forward to telling you about it. But first, a few words about Central Denmark region service desk. I got 29 employees, and we support about 38,000 users in the region, and it's primarily healthcare. So that would be all the hospitals. They generate about 4,000 tickets per week, and we receive about 2,000 calls. The tickets we pick up in ServiceNow. And we've been in a certification program the last 4 years with Service Desk Institute in Birmingham. And one of the things we learned, we had to do a lot about data. And there we had an issue when we looked at customer satisfaction. Before we started out on the journey with HappySignals, we got about 8% or even less than 8% returns on our surveys. But since we switched to HappySignals, we improved, and we're now about 25% on returns. And why is that? Søren just told you about some of it, and I'll tell you a little more in detail about the cleverness of this product. As you can see in this slide, this is a ticket that is resolved. It's a form where you can order a new employee and get a user word. No, what is it called? User ID, yeah. And this is the mail that we send out from ServiceNow when we resolve the case. And as you see in the bottom of the email, there is the scale from 1 to 10, as Søren described. And if they want to accept the solution, it actually says, if you approve the solution by pressing the scale below, at the same time, you can express how satisfied you have been with your inquiry to the IT department. So now they can tell us how satisfied they are just by reading the solution text to their ticket. Before we did this, we sent out a second email, and nobody has time to read an extra email. And this is why we get so many responses. The next thing that happens when you push one of the numbers, you're invited to tell, why did you push? In this case, we could say they pushed the 5 button, and they are invited to tell us what should we improve. And there is a multiple choice. They can put in all the boxes if they want to, but the ones they think are most relevant are checked. And this is very important, actually. 72% of all the customers who take the initial poll by clicking one of the numbers actually tell us this. They're also invited to tell us how much work time did you lose because of this. And there's a very easy slider where they can just pull it up till the amount of time they seem is right. 33% of all the returns have this estimate on lost time. And finally, they're invited to explain in detail if they got feedback for the IT organization. And about 10% of the people does that. So that's how it's helped us to gain enough data to actually have something we can work with. Another very good product from the HappySignals is the plugin. I think it's called a widget in ServiceNow. It's called Happy Agent. And that provides an instant feedback to the agent. And it also gives us the chance to know what type of customer are we talking to, because first time they get a survey, they are asked, what would you do if you would like, if you need help? And there's 4 defined questions, and then we put in the customers in these 4 boxes. Are they willing to do it all themselves, or are they more the type that needs help? Are they triers? Or they know what to do, but they would like us to handle it because they got something better to do. That's a unique opportunity for a supporter to different on how should I talk to the customer. If they are thinking in that ways, what kind of customer profile is this phoning me?
How do you find out which customer profile a certain user belongs to?
Yeah, the way we do it now, Søren, is that when we have the onboarding process, we use it's like there are 2 guys that very supporter that's already in the work, and the new one, and they guess what kind of support is, what kind of customer is this, and then they can look it up in ServiceNow afterwards to see if they were right. It's not 100% initial that you should get all the answers right, but as long as you think about what type of customer you have improved already. So that's the takeout from this.
Great, thanks.
And I need to tell you that some of my agents were quite skeptical beforehand, and we didn't just launch the Happy Agent at the first day we used HappySignals. We analyzed data and looked how does things look. And as Søren said, we were also surprised about how happy people were. And then we talked it through with the agents and we implemented it. I think when you are as an agent, when you get a response that says, oh, here's a very happy customer, you get a little bit happy. That's what I mean by this 9 and 10s trigger dopamine, because that's just how it works. If you get positive feedback, you get a little happier. And we could actually see that. Oh, sorry. We could actually see that in the employee satisfaction scores. I tried to show this on the bottom here, that when we suddenly turned on the Happy Agent, we had a huge gain in employee satisfaction. And I talked with the agents about it, and they all say, yeah, I mean, this is because we have this, we get feedback every time we solve a ticket. But we had to work with this, and I'll show you in the live demo a way to tell the agents where to focus on the feedback, because if they get once, of course, that's not great, but I'll show you in the live demo. And I think that's where we're heading now. Yeah. So just a second. And this is live data, I need to tell you. So if something funny happens in here, it's just the way it is. This is the analytics platform. And you have a dashboard where you always see the last week, how happy were people, and how much time did they think they lost. And it's very important to have this. It's a feeling, like being happy is a feeling. How much time did you lose is a feeling. So you're not going to write out bills and say, oh, now we saved you from so many minutes of work. You can design this as yourself. We've done it with assignment groups down here. But the real great stuff is here at the reports page. You have the ability to set the time scale you want to look at. I'm using 6 months right now. And you can customize the setup here, what kind of things you want to see in the analytics panel. So you have to think a little, the first day when you're setting up, and the second and third day, think a little about what kind of data do you want to have transferred from your ServiceNow installation or your ITSM installation to be displayed in the analytics platform. But bear in mind that there's no personal data, so you can't see name on the ticket holders or whatever. So it's all anonymized, so there's no issue about GDPR in this.
Can I just add to that, Jesper, that the data you have from HappySignals in your own ServiceNow instance, those data are linked to the case and through the case to the user. So it's different there, but this analytics platform that's why Jesper is stressing this, is in the cloud. So it's anonymous, there's no GDPR issue here.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Søren. And another thing you see here in the analytics page is that this is all types, it says. You can differ from incident to requests. You might have different goals on these two. We certainly do. So if I look at the incident module, I can now see that these are the profiles where we have the different type of users. There's a lot of users who didn't fill this out, but again, there's a lot of responses where we can see we have a lot of doers. These are the guys that would be very happy if they just had admin accounts. They could fix it themselves. So you have to be very certain on how to handle these type of users. Then we're doing hospitals, and I'm sorry, but this is in Danish, much of it. But the different hospitals you can see is one hospital doing better than another, and why might that be? We use something called CI symptom, which is a configuration item in the CMDB in ServiceNow, where we got all our applications. So you can actually track here on the different applications, how satisfied have people been with the resolvement of incidents on that application. We use something called service or templates for the incident module, and that is actually our known errors database. So if we have an issue on a system, as you see here, we have Citrix. We have a very large Citrix installation, and that gives troubles from time to time. But we have a known error database where we can see, oh, if you got that trouble, you just use this template to help the customer. we automated some of these as well. The one down here is what it says Citrix RPA. I got a team of RPA guys as well, and they created, and during the Corona, we were all sent at home, and then you can't use IT self-help because you're not on the local network. But we made a service where they could send, or they could text us with the user ID and Citrix, and then we would use robots to get Citrix sessions closed down. So you can follow how satisfied people are. Yeah, son.
Can I give you a small challenge just for fun? If I want to see your trials at Aarhus Universitetshospital and how happy they are.
If you want to see Aarhus University Hospital.
Yes.
Yeah, great. What you do is you drill down in the data, and now it is shown only for Aarhus University Hospital. And you can go further down in this and say, I want to see how satisfied they were with SpeechMax, which is a dictating program. And you see there is something interesting happening here. We just upgraded this system from one to another, and I believe that would be around this time we did that. So you can drill down in the data and get more specific information on this. I'll just clear the filter again. So now we're back. We have here over time how the happiness of the customers has been. We can change it up here, and if we want to see how much time they think they lost. Right around here, we had upgrade for Windows 10, which took a lot of, we didn't perform as well there. A lot of people got stuck. Yeah, some of the upgrades took more than 60 minutes. Back to the happiness. There's a possibility to comment on the what happened at a specific point in time. It's very easy. You define the point and then just click on the little sign, and you can enter in a new description to what happened at this time. Again, we have the profiling on the customers, the score distribution, and the lost time distribution. We also have the ability to look at the different channels to see how we're doing on the phone. That's a very green one. And then we have the service portal. That's the one for the customers who want to make tickets themselves. And we have another portal for the internal users. And we got some walk-ins as well. We hardly use email. And of course, you have to be very observant on these scores and look how many responses do you get. So the last 6 months, we had 25 responses on email. So we're not going to change anything based on that score. Yeah.
Yes, but can I supplement with a little story from a different customer, because I was very surprised at a different customer, which is an international medical company, global, and their satisfaction with the email as a challenge was surprisingly, they were very, very satisfied, and it beat all the other channels. And I think that's very different from most organizations. And the reason was that they could write in their own language. So email correspondence was in Portuguese in Brazil, for instance, whereas the portal and the other channels were all in English. So it's just you need to be interested in why, and this is a very good tool to answer that.
Yeah, quite so, Søren. Yeah, you really get a lot of ahas when you dive into this data. Yeah. We have the assignment group measuring also. We just changed a couple of things in our systems, and we have a lot of unknowns right here. That's because we've been doing an upgrade on the assignment groups. So a lot of these have to be reassigned to the right assignment groups. Categories, we don't use categories as much because we use the configuration item as a symptom, as I showed you in the top. So when a customer calls up, we ask, what kind of trouble do you have? Oh, I have trouble with Excel. And so we write Excel, but if it's actually because the network was down, we would use that in the CI course. So we get this on all our tickets in the incident module. And that's why we don't use category as much.
Jesper? Sorry, you have 10 minutes left.
Right. Yeah, I'll. It's so exciting. It's. I could talk a lot more about this. This is on the departments, on the priority on our tickets, how the score is. And of course, the reassignment count. It's interesting, not surprising though. The more you reassign, the less happy customers are. This is the 73% feedbacks you get. And I told you at the intro that I would tell you more about this, because the happy agent, if you get a 9 or 10, I can see here that during the last 6 months, there were 6,046 positives. And the very top one was the speed of service. Not surprising. They like to get back to work out there. But the second one is the service personnel skills and the service personnel attitude. So when there's a 9 and 10 ticking into the agent, they can say to themselves, why, I did a good job here. Great. And I can show the data. That's actually what happens. On the other hand, if they get 0 to 6 or neutral, their main concern was that my ticket was not solved. The service was slow. I had to explain myself. I wasn't informed. And way down here at 41 selected something about service personnel skills. So if in the happy agent, a 0 or 6 takes in, it's probably because the customer thinks IT sucks. They are not happy with the solution they are offered, but they might as well be very happy with the agent. And that's often the case, actually. I want to show you the 10% I said. They actually take time to write to us. Unfortunately, it's still in Danish, but this provides very good insights. Whenever customer takes out the time to write to us, I think we owe them to look into this. All this data is also in ServiceNow. So my way of doing this is we have an unhappy customer here. I can see the incident number here, so I can look it up in ServiceNow. But if you're just a little used to making reports in ServiceNow, you can make a report, say, show me all the comments where people are giving us a score of 0 or 1, and then we can easily see, should I call these customers up? I have an incident manager who calls some of them. I call some of them to get the feedback. And we found there's so many good insights in doing this. So it might take some time, but you might prevent a drop in user happiness by doing this. So a very, very powerful tool that shows you all the feedback. And you have the opportunity to categorize these. If you want to say, this is something I should follow up on, or this is a great idea, I just don't want to forget this, so I highlight it. A great way to have a quick count on what specific feedbacks should I act on. Yeah. And finally, in the analytics platform, you get the ability to benchmark you against others. So I hope all you guys want to jump into this, because the more data we have, the better it is. But as you see, this is the incident module we are benchmarking now, and we are the 79 versus the benchmark of 76. And we have see the time here. We can see what kind of profiles are we doing great with. So we struggle a little with the triers, but again, you have to be careful when you look at data. We only got 1% of persons who are triers, so it doesn't affect the overall score. But it's definitely a point to be taken serious by the agents. How should I talk to the triers and the supported? You can read a lot more about these different types on HappySignals homepage. I'm sure BusinessNow can guide you there. And again, how are we doing on portals compared to others? Yeah.
5 minutes left.
Great. But actually, I think I'm about through now. So if there would be any questions, that would be fine. I'll just jump back to the reports here. Yeah.
So I speeded things up for you. All right. I'm sorry if you rushed through it because I gave you the 10-minute mark, but this is really powerful to look into, and also like you're talking about how much you can learn from the feedback. And I guess a lot of customers sometimes don't, or a lot of people like you oftentimes don't prioritize it because they're very busy. But it seems like you could learn a lot from feedback and improve the solutions and improve the happiness. And I guess that's something most people are interested in. So this was very cool that we could get live look in under the helmet.
I can say a little about this technical one here. You see we get a rather low score here. And I think many of you know that when you have a ticket and you're pending the user and asking, you need to tell me a little more before I can help you, and they never get back to you. We made a template for closing that kind of incidents. And that's a very hard one to do and get a good feedback on. Basically, we're closing the ticket saying, you haven't replied within the last 14 days, so now we close the ticket. We worked a lot about what should we write in the solution text, because we were way lower than the 24 we are now. We are in -50 or something. People really get annoyed. So but you can still reopen the ticket, and you're very welcome to phone in and trying to reach out for the customers here. So.
Yes,
yeah.
of course, it's important to remember that +24, it's much below your target, but it's still more positive than negative.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not that bad, actually.
No, but it was negative in the beginning.
Yes.
So.
But Jesper,
yes.
One question, and perhaps you already said that, but I didn't get it. Usually I recommend our customers that the agents, when they get this live feedback on a ticket, and if it's red or orange or whatever, it's between 0 and 6, that they get back to the user immediately on those and say, oh, we can see you were not quite satisfied, and already there getting back almost proactively can change the user's perception. I don't know if that's something you do in your organization.
No, we don't. It's not up to the agents to call back to the customers. I use that for I put that at the incident manager. Okay. To do that, because I want to avoid the discussions on why did you score this ticket a 1? I did all the right things. It doesn't matter. It's better to take that away from the agent. Besides, they should use time on the next customer. We are quite busy, so if they just think it's because IT sucks, great, no hassle. They're still happy because the next one was probably going to give them a 9 and 10. and then I have the data and my incident manager had the data, then we can call out and figure out what went wrong or what should we improve here.
Great reply, Jesper. Thank you very much. That's wisdom.
I think we should maybe jump back to the presentation and wrap up. I think there was a few pointers if you just want to talk quickly through these key takeaways.
Sure. Well, our biggest struggle getting the certification, which we now are 4-star certified service desk, if I didn't mention that, but we are. I'm very happy about that. One of the key struggles was not having enough data on the customer experience, and we certainly did get that. So do the NPS, and why not just use HappySignals? It's a great tool, but I suppose you can get it in another way as well. Analyze your data and prepare the agents before you use the Happy agent. I used 6 months on preparing this. We have a lot of union work in Denmark as well. So telling the union this is not something I'm gonna hold over the heads of the agents and they'll get fired if ever they get a 0. Pretty much the same I just said to Søren, actually. And then make sure you get the right data in ServiceNow. As I told you before, we just made some upgrades and we kind of forgot to, we have to upgrade this in the HappySignals as well. That was about the assignment groups. It's not a big deal. We still get the overall score, but of course I would like to see the correct assignment groups on all the cases. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I would take out of this now.
Thank you very much, Jesper. It was very interesting. Thank you so much for letting us have a sneak peek into your world and what is happening with HappySignals and how you create happiness. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I guess Søren, very quickly we'll wrap up.
Yes, I mean, what I want to say is that hopefully you have seen in this webinar with Jesper's very good presentation that it's a really good tool to focus your support efforts, not necessarily on the resolution time or the other normal KPIs, but actually asking the user, how happy were you with the service we provided? It's based on industry best practice. It provides live feedback to the service agents and even participates in changing the culture to become more user experience focused, and also providing in-depth analysis tools like Jesper showed you so convincingly to get to the root cause of why things are, even both the good and the bad things. And it's quite easy to install and get up and running in your ServiceNow instance, and you can get up and running quickly. So that is my wrapping up. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Søren. That was, I guess, the quickest I've ever had you present any slide. Well done. Can I have the next slide, please? Yes. So as per usual, we'll do a quick poll where you have the chance to give us some feedback so that we can get better. We always try to get better. And yeah, it's just questions around how relevant you thought it was, the knowledge, how the knowledge was shared, and if you got what you expected. So please, I can see that you're not voting yet, but please give us a vote here so that we can get better. Thank you. I hope that you all enjoyed this webinar. I know I really enjoyed having a special guest with us. That was really cool. And yeah, I learned a lot, and I hope you did too. When I'm just gonna end this poll, thank you so much for replying. And the next slide, please. Just making sure I got everything. And the next, we went through comments and questions. Yeah, so just to wrap up, you'll receive an email with the recording of this email on Monday at the latest. And you'll get some other links to our YouTube channel, LinkedIn page. And I would also say it's a good idea to look to our LinkedIn page when you want the newest information. So Jesper and Søren, do you want to say thanks for today and wave? Then that would be cool.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Jesper. Great work.
Thank you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much and have a lovely day and weekend when you get to that. Bye-bye.
Bye.